Hello, everybody, and welcome to Friday Night Live. Yes, it's a night earlier, but we're going to do it on Friday nights from now on. You'll have to forgive me. I am sucking on cough drops, and there's going to be times I'm muting because I still have that. Oh, there's YouTube. There's your delay, Jeff. You know how long it takes now. Um, but let's go ahead. Hey, Kat, how are you? Oh, I should move to your state and have that honey. Can you guys do us a sound check over in the listener group? We'll say hello. You guys say yes. That way we know that you're here. You're good. Thank you, Lily. Lily, you're in the call. You'd hear me anyway. I need a listener that's not on the call. Good. Thank you, Ashley. I appreciate it. Okay. And okay. Perfect. Janice can hear us. Welcome to our Friday Night Live. As I said, there's Tony. Good morning, beautiful people. I love his good mornings. So what we're doing tonight is our special guest is Jeff, and he is how do I explain? Jeff, are you here with me? Can you hear me good?
I can hear you very well, thank you.
Okay. Can everybody hear Jeff? Jeff, do you want to talk for a moment? And that way they can do a sound check on you.
Yeah, sure.
Yep,
Yeah, Gina, oh,
everybody's
good.
hearing you.
There's a little
It's
bit of
all
delay.
good.
Oh, excellent. Hey,
Okay.
everybody.
So Jeff, do you want to explain a little bit about what your job relates to so that they understand why this is a passion of yours to talk about um, phones and stuff like that?
Yeah. Yeah, so I have actually been working in the cellular industry since about 2005. And I have worked with law enforcement in the past, federal law enforcement, not state law enforcement. And my background is cellular intercept and cellular exploitation. And when I first started to get into MaM, it struck me. One of the first things that I had ever read was Kathleen Zellner's appeal, and one of the things that she said is, well, Teresa's last cell phone ping wasn't anywhere near the Avery salvage yard. And I said, well, if that's the case, we ought to be able to, quite easily prove that and debunk it, and or not. And that's when I first started to look into the cellular stuff, and more recently, I've been taking an interest in the Audiovox cell phone that was found by John Campion, which I think you hit in the live in the MaM Read midweek last week, if I remember right.
Right. So what that was Pam Sturham and John Camp. Now, let's give a little history of who John Camp is. He owns like some sort of a restaurant or bar, tavern, restaurant type supper club at the time. And he is connected with Pam Sturham, and they are on the search party and they discover an Audiovox phone that Jeff's referring to. Now, what's interesting about John Camp is his brother. Okay, so the gentleman that's with Pam Sturham, John Camp, his brother was the one to find Deb Suckawati's body in the Randet Quarry in 1970-ish. In the 1970s. So of course, there's always some weird connection in this case. Either they're related or they've got some sort of a coincidence connected to them, and that to me is always strange because Deb Suckawati was Carmen Botwell's aunt. Now, real quick, we'll go into a little bit of history because I always love for everybody to really understand the history, not just the 2005 case. And Deb Suckawati was Carmen Botwell's aunt, and Carmen Botwell's grandfather was Deb Suckawati's dad, and that was Joseph. And Joseph Suckawati actually ran against Tom Kasurik as sheriff. Now, Tom Kasurik was sheriff and the sheriff when Steven Avery was arrested in 1985 and wrongfully convicted for the attempted rape and murder of Penny Bernstein. So that's how that all is connected. But we're going to swing all the way forward to 2005. Hold on, let me get somebody to put the dog in the kennel or something. She's like, I know you're doing a live. I want to bark.
Every time. Yeah.
Yeah, so I talk about some of those in the boards that we're going to see, some of the history of the Audiovox and how it came up at trial, and some of the shenanigans at trial that went on, and how what's written about the Audiovox. What we're going to learn about that Audiovox cell phone is that that the actual information about that is obfuscated between what's written on the phone and what we're going to find in CASO. So I hope you guys find this presentation interesting.
Okay, Jeff, what I'm going to do is you've provided us with...
very interesting that Tony should bring up Andrew Coburn's camera.
Colburn and his camera. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Colburn, he loved to take them pictures. He would knock somebody out of the way to take a picture.
I'm surprised he didn't go to work for Pierce.
Right.
Okay, I'm going to go to... Let me see here. BB, you're so funny. Before we get rolling too far into this, let me make sure I've got everything we need set up here. Okay. I wonder if I can make that any bigger for the viewers. I can. Cool. All right. So what we've done, you guys, before we get rolling on the whole thing about the phone, I want to introduce who's on the live with us tonight. So there's myself and Lily. Are you here?
Yes, I am.
Well, thank you for joining us on the live. Are you going to be kind of watching the board for us, hon?
Yes, I'll watch the board and make sure everybody's behaving.
And got all the stuff they need.
Yes.
Okay. And Sammy? I'm sorry, Lily. Go ahead.
If there's any links they want or anything, just let me know and I'll see what I can find for them.
That sounds very good. Yeah, if there's anything you're asking or needing, or if you have questions, Lily's going to be trying to watch the board. And then also Tony, Dr. Silkman, is in the crowd as well. And so if you have to @ Tony or @ Lily, that way they see your call, please do so. All right. Now, Sammy, are you here with us as well?
I am. How are you?
Welcome on the call. How am I? You want me to just be nice or you want me to tell you? I have got a chest cold from heck. It is bad. So I will be muting to do most of the listening tonight. And unless I'm asking a couple questions. So, and if I start to cough, I will immediately mute and just not ask the question so you don't have to hear me. I think it's gotten worse in the last day or two, but I think it's because it's getting better. Did that make sense at all?
Oh, yeah, it gets worse before it gets better. You
Either
just
that
keep
or it's
breathing.
Either that or it's right before you land at the hospital.
Yeah, before they throw the funeral bouquet and I catch it. Okay, well, obviously we have a wonderful BB on. Hi, BB.
Hey.
Hey, BB has been on this Friday Night Live. BB has pretty much been the one that's working behind the scenes, getting this all set up. So she knows more about what's going on this live than I do, honestly, because I have, like I said, I've kind of stepped
Then
back.
we're in trouble.
Don't tell me that, BB. I trust you.
Thank you, Judy.
So, okay, guys. All right, Jeff, what I'm going to do is we're going to go ahead and pull up. It's a picture that came from the mini MaM, the one that was out last night. I hope everybody had a chance to watch that. The mini MaMs are doing a really good job of capturing the timeline of events is what it's for. And anybody in your family that'll say to you, well, I'm not watching a 20-hour program. Well, they may want to after they watch a few of the mini MAMs, because it gives them just enough to kind of get a taste of what's going on in the case. And they're only about 20 or 30 minutes long. So it kind of, you can use it as bait and switch. You can be like, here's mini MAM to your family, let them watch a little bit. And then they'll be like, well, maybe I should watch the big MAM, So hopefully we get more people involved in the case. So what I did is I pulled up eyewitness number 1, which is Irvin Koenig's page, but I think it's because of the map. Am I right, Jeff?
There's nothing on the screen, by the way.
There's nothing on what screen? Oh, on the other one? Maybe I need to go share my screen.
Yeah. So
Oh
Rubberducky,
boy. How about I share my screen, you guys?
Maybe we can cut to the
Hold on.
that picture midway through the presentation, as opposed there's a spot where I would like to cut
Right.
to it as opposed to the very beginning.
Okay, I'm sharing the screen now, so that way they can see what's going on. All right, so do you want me to go to the PowerPoint perhaps?
Yes, please.
You're going to have to give her just a moment. Go ahead and give some
Yeah, I'm
details
standing
before
by.
she pulls it up.
Okay, so the way that I wanted to start was to talk about how the cell phone got introduced into the trial.
Okay.
Because it actually, if you read it actually was a surprise to Buting and Kretz about the cell phone. Apparently, and Strang got a tip about the cell phone and some corresponding papers that were found by the search party, they hadn't seen anything in it regarding discovery, and they complained to the judge about it.
Jeff, I'm going to jump in for just a minute.
Can
you hear me? I accidentally closed the button.
Sure.
And completely left everything. And so give
well,
me
I
just
need
a
to
minute.
say something. Thank you so much, Ashley Holt, for your shout out here. Is a $30 shout out.
Holy cow. Thank you, Ashley. Hold on, guys. I did a
That's
boo-boo.
wonderful.
I did a boo-boo and I closed down all of Google. And so you guys weren't broadcasting for a minute. I'm so sorry.
It wasn't me this time.
Nope. I timed everybody out. Like I clicked, instead of it saying hide, it said close, and my mouse clicked the close. I'm blaming it on the mouse, not the driver. So let me make sure that they're seeing our screen. I am screen sharing and presenting. So sorry, Jeff. Okay, let me go over to the PowerPoint. Okay, I'm on the second page of the PowerPoint. I'm just going to go to the crowd real quick. Let me grab that. Okay, I am seeing the screen, so that's good. Oh, thank you, Ashley, from the bottom of my heart. Thank you very much. Okay, let's go to live chat. All right, I think we're rolling. Okay,
I'm so glad
Jeff.
it wasn't me.
Okay. Do I need to wait 15 seconds before I see it on the YouTube here?
Well, can you see it on your YouTube screen?
There should be a screen that everybody's
so if we're looking
seeing.
at the second,
And it says Audiovox cell phone Avery trial.
I just want to make sure everybody can see it.
I'll go peek. Yeah, it's showing on mine.
Yeah, if you can see it on yours, they should be seeing it on theirs.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
I'm just making sure. Okay, if everybody can see it, I can. Yeah. Okay.
Can you
All
see
right.
the as if you can you see the Audiovox cell phone one? I've got Attorney Jerome Buting and Pam Sturm on one side.
Yeah, to me, it looks a little bit different on the YouTube. Are people, what are people seeing?
Audiovox
Oh,
cell
I'm
phone
seeing the
Avery
same thing that
trial.
they are.
Why do we care about this phone?
Mm-hmm.
Right. Okay. Oh, so
Yeah.
I'll talk to my slides as long as everybody can see it. That's not a
Yep.
problem because I can I see what it says. Okay. So why do we care about this phone? Because really it really did come up in the middle. This is actually amongst the first set of questions that Jerry Buting asks Pam Sturm, even before he gets around to asking her about the discovery of the RAV. He asks her about this cell phone, and that's what I highlight at the top in the text. He asks her, "Do you remember being called to an area near the river?" Near a turnaround, and that turnaround happens to be the very same turnaround, Rubberducky, that you highlight in the MaM, where the RAV was spotted, potentially. And later on in the text, says, do you remember finding a cell phone down by the river? So this is why we care about it. If we found and you know, if maybe if you can go to the next slide and perhaps or in or in lieu of the next slide, put up the map that you had in the MaM. What we have is a case where 3 people reported seeing a RAV
Actually,
or a
4.
car that matched the description of Teresa Halbach's car. 4, okay.
Yeah.
Jill Ryan,
One
Robert
guy did
Fabian,
not
Kevin
report it, a
Manlow.
Patrick.
Okay.
Yeah.
And if you find a phone in the vicinity of where perhaps you found a murder victim's car, that seems to me that's of potential evidentiary value. Is that a phone that belonged to Teresa that she was hiding? Is that a phone that perhaps somebody that the murderer who had been conspiring with other people tried to throw in the river? Maybe it washed up on shore because it was found in a ditch. There's reasons to care about this phone, and the reason why I bring this up in the first place is when you look at Reddit at some of the posts that they asked, why should I care about this phone in the first place? And it's the place where this phone is discovered in proximity to where the RAV was potentially witnessed.
Okay.
That makes it, in my mind,
So-
of evidentiary value. And I know you know that, Rubberducky, but
Yeah.
just in case people don't know why we care about
So
this phone.
what kind of comes to my mind is that this would have been a very simple thing at the time to investigate by simply getting the phone itself and finding out who the owner was and ruling it out. So if you could, potentially figure out who the owner of the phone really is from an investigative standpoint. So if you were a detective in the case, you could simply find out who it is. And if it's some, kid lived down the road that had nothing to do with the case, you'd know. Or if it was potentially one of the suspects in the case, you would know. Or if the phone belonged to Teresa Halbach herself, you would know. Or if the phone belonged to, let's just say Carmen Botwell, that would be important. So, like you said, Jeff, the importance of this phone, because of its location, is very imperative to the vehicle. It's very connected to the location where all these witnesses have seen this RAV on the turnabout.
And
Correct?
also, isn't there paperwork of hers found nearby it too?
Yeah. According to a lot of the reports that we have from that Pam Sturm talked about. Now, it's like pulling teeth to get Pam to talk about this stuff on the trial. She tries to avoid the questions, but there was paperwork found that was relative and related to the RAV and also to Teresa Halbach, was found right near the same location as this phone. Okay, Jeff, go ahead, please. Sorry, I just wanted to reiterate that with you.
That's what happens to be on slide 4.
Yeah.
No, this is great. This is great. This is a discussion, and that's the same thing I picked up on. You look at slide 4, the next
Now-
question that Jerry asks, Pam of God, what about the papers? I heard that there were some papers found. I don't recall any papers. I know nothing.
Right.
Eventually, so what happened? This is where Tony's comment comes in. I called the sheriff's department and somebody came down and photographed that phone. Who was slinging his camera around like a gunslinger in the wild, wild west?
Well,
Just
and
take a picture of that phone.
Jeff,
Oh, by the way, where is
also,
that picture? Can I please get a copy of that picture?
Well, now Jeannie Moreau is asking, what is the location of the man walking in the water and the waders?
all we
Right
know
there.
from
The
the
same
witness
one. Yes,
is
that's the same one.
it never says he was walking in the water with waders, I don't believe. It says down by the river, a guy in waders, and it's two hunters. And they explain that it's very near this area, that it's a hunting area at 140 on State Highway 147, and it's near the turnaround. So it's right near the location. But I think it's interesting that Pam doesn't recall any papers like Jeff's saying. Well, let me tell you, when Pam found the RAV in the pre-trial, not the actual trial, she explained it was a two-door and was questioned, and they were like, it's a two-door. And she's like, well, I think so. And they're like, are you sure? And she goes, yeah, I think so. So Pam's not that great of a reliable witness. So when she says, I don't recall any papers, that certainly doesn't mean there weren't papers, because there were some business papers found nearby. Now, on this, Jeff, when Pam and John find the phone, was there some method that we could have used if we could, if the phone had been waterlogged, to still find out who owned it?
Oh, yes, you can definitely do that. I'm going to tell you exactly how to do that in a couple of slides.
Excellent. Okay. Let me know when you need me to click over.
Hey, can you still hear me okay?
Yep.
Yes, we can.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, good. Yep. Yeah, so I thought it very interesting that Tony picked up on the same thing I did. I'm still on the slide with Coburn, but it's clearly Coburn that came down because he is the one that came over to collect that evidence. Let's go on to the next one. Now, what happens at trial is that given the Kratz by surprise.
So Kratz wasn't, Kratz didn't know anything about the Audiovox phone, the Audiovox phone?
That if you look on the next slide that has Kratz and Buting, what Kratz said at trial is pasted directly from the trial testimony, page 248, is pasted right below his ugly mug, his sweaty mug.
Can I
His cell phone down by the river is the first I've heard of this.
may I interrupt? Real
Certainly
quick
never came
there?
to our office.
Jeff, you keep
Never was
breaking up on.
provided by our
Jeff,
office.
we're losing you in and out for some reason.
Yeah, it'll be
Time, Lily.
fine for a minute, and then all of a sudden you just
You're a robot.
when it gets to the important part, it goes all wonky.
Okay.
What Jeff's saying is he's reading this slide that he's made for us. He's got poor reception, I think, so I'll go ahead and read it. It says, this is Kratz. He was explaining that this is a statement that Kratz made, which was, lastly, the cell phone down by the river is the first I've heard of this. This is Kratz talking. Certainly never came through our office, never was provided by our office as part of discovery, but I don't have anything from that. So Kratz is playing ignorant. Does that bring us up to speed? Okay.
That's what he says at trial.
Oh, you sound so much better, Jeff.
On the next, the conversation continues on the next slide.
Okay, did you want to address what Jerry Buting said on this slide as well?
Oh, sure. Yeah. I mean, Jerry's saying, well, how come we don't have any information on this phone? That's basically
Okay.
what he says. Pam Sturm just testified that a uniformed officer came and took pictures of it where the heck is it? What do we know about it? Where's the discovery information on this phone? And Kratz obviously responds with, I don't know. I don't know anything about it. This is the first I've heard of it. And we'll get to exactly where in the CASO it is in a couple of slides. But the conversation continues on the next slide. And Buting on the if you we to the next slide, he's demanding the discovery about this phone because there was clearly police involvement. But Kratz continues to claim that the phone is not in his possession. When we'll see on the very next slide, we actually have the evidence tag for this phone. It's obviously in there.
Let's read this slide through for them.
And the Judge will.
Should we read this slide through so that they can kind of get what we're saying? So what's going on is in the middle of the trial. In the middle of the trial, Buting introduces the conversation to Pam Sturm about the phone that her and John Camp found. And Kratz is acting like he's never heard nor seen this idea before in his life. So what Jerry Buting's doing is he's trying to establish that obviously the prosecution should know about it because police were involved and considered the phone as evidence. So Attorney Buting says, I would ask if counsel is just discovering the cell phone incident today, and the way she described it, obviously there was some sort of police involvement, that perhaps overnight he should check with probably Manitowoc and see what's up with that. Attorney Kratz answers, perhaps Mr. Buting would like to do that. Now keep in mind, the jury is not hearing this. They've been sequestered away from this conversation, and it's the conversation between the court, in other words, the judge, Buting, and Kratz. So Kratz says, perhaps Mr. Buting would like to do that. It's not my possession, Judge. So Kratz is saying he doesn't have the phone. The court says, the judge, how did this come to light? How did you know how to ask the questions about it, Mr. Buting? I guess I'm at a loss. I don't know how to even get started. Attorney Buting says, we get tips too, just like they do. Sometimes sometimes useless, sometimes not. This one sounded like maybe it'd be more legitimate. So I thought I would ask her about it, but I had no confrontation. Oh, I'm sorry, I can't hardly read today, but I had no confirmation of it until today. And she clearly described a police action of some sort. To say that it's not in his possession, Manitowoc officers are testifying for the state. They have been involved in critical parts of this case in terms of evidence that was discovered. So I think he does have an obligation under Brady, potentially, to get to the bottom of this and find out if this is something that was never even documented. Manitowoc never even wrote a report, or did they write a report and we just haven't received it? Okay, I will turn to the next slide. All right. So at the top of this slide, Jeff, and everybody listening, this says CASO information on Audiovox cell phone. And I hand it back over to you, Jeff.
So I think one of the interesting things about this is not only have we recently covered this in the MaM Reads, and I hope you're all keeping up with the MaM Reads because they're great. The CASO Reads, I mean, because they're great. You find this information on page 185, and page 185 isn't that far into it. So my question is how did it show up on page 185 at 98? You can see maybe how Dean and Jerry didn't quite get to it because they had a lot to read, but it's only on page 200, and it's it's 1,000 pages long, so that's less than 20% into it. They surely must have got that far. So I'm not sure how these pages were aggregated or whatnot, but to me, it's very, very strange that in the discovery that was provided to Dean and Jerry, they didn't have
and
it,
I would
but
think if you were getting
page
paid,
185 of the document that we all have.
Yeah, Jeff, I'm just reaching a little bit on this, I think, but you're getting paid $240,000. I would think that you could sit down and read 1,000 pages I agree with you. This should have been something that both obviously Kratz should have known about, and he was most likely playing dumb because I don't think they want this. I don't think the prosecution is wanting this Audiovox phone spoke of, which is a sign that we should talk about it.
Oh. And wait till you see what they did to it in 1 second. But so you know, the question is what was this report in the actual discovery that was given to Dean and Jerry, or is this like the Coburn report of the Stephen Allen phone call, where it was written years later or some amount of time later and then slid into this as if it had existed all the time, you know?
Good point.
So,
Good point.
You know, that's we don't know. We just don't know any of that. Or, you know, did Jerry conveniently forget to, you know, that he had read it in the first place? Because I don't know.
Yeah.
We
You know,
both
Jeff,
agree
I
that-
think this falls
that
almost into the same
Jerry
thing we're
might have
seeing.
something going on.
I think we're seeing this kind of behavior all along through the case. If it's something that does not help the prosecution, they're not playing by the real cards. They're not playing, okay, this is evidence, and even though it may play against us, we still have to present it. In this case, the state is playing a game of, we only want the cards that benefit us and our story. And King Kratz is selling the state's story, which is Stephen's guilty and he has killed Teresa Halbach. And that's
And they
Kratz's
already
story.
have him, and he's the right guy.
Yeah, they already have him in custody. He's the right guy. So the question then is, when you look at this case and the stuff that Jeff is bringing us, and people say, well, it's just a spare phone from somebody. Okay, it is found, as Jeff stated, it has been found within the vicinity of the RAV4 eyewitnesses. So we have 4 eyewitnesses, 3 that went on record to police department and so forth, 1 that did not report it at the time, but did see it, of a vehicle that matches the RAV4. It's parked on the turnaround at 147, as Zellner has already explained. And this phone's laying there just a little ways from it. So obviously it's worth checking out. And now we have Kratz kind of saying, what phone? What? Well, I don't see no phone. We don't have no phone. And Jerry's going, but we do. We do. So Jeff's going to go through this a little bit further with us and explain to us what has happened to this phone and where does it go? Okay, Jeff, back to you.
Right. Somehow it ends up in a ditch. You know, I've seen people drop their. If I've dropped my phone by accident, it doesn't usually end up in a ditch. To me, a phone ends up in the ditch because somebody throws it in a ditch because they're trying to get rid of it. You know, maybe they threw it in the river, and maybe, you know, because there was a lot of rain, it got washed up, and, you know, they thought it was going to sink, but it really floated. My opinion is somebody tried to get rid of this phone. But look who comes to the rescue. First of all, we find the finder of all things, Pam of God, to find it. And who do they send over? No less than the likes of Lincoln Coburn to help retrieve it. Okay. And it just the same cast of characters. But let me turn your attention to the model number that they have. Model number CDM 8815 UT StarCam. Now, what does that sound like to you? That sounds like, well, maybe it's a brand new model of phone, and, you know, they're bragging about the brand new camera that they have, and they're calling it the StarCam, and that's some buzz term that they're trying to get to catch on, right? Isn't that what that model number kind of intimates to you?
It does to me.
Yeah. I don't know a lot about phones, so this is highly educational.
So yeah, and I mean, so that's what, you know, if you have a new model, you know, it has this fancy new piece, you might as well brag about it in the part name, right? When you begin to search, if you want to find out a little bit more about Audiovox model 8815, the bad news is there's no such model as 8815.
Are you kidding? So there's never been a model made under that
which means
coding
we have
at
to
all?
make some guesses about what it is.
So there's never, Jeff, there.
Correct.
Okay, so
Correct.
let me understand this. So what they've put down in the paperwork and reported is a fake phone brand, title, so forth.
Model.
There's the word. So they list
Model number.
model in the reports
Model. Yep.
of the phone. Okay. Wow. hiding
Yeah.
the
Yes,
identity,
that's right.
hiding the identity
So,
of the phone.
so, but of course, you know, what they would want is plausible deniability. So, my plausible deniability. There is a model number actually be, and good reason to believe a suggestion for what 8615.
Jeff, you're
CDM
cutting in and out
8615.
again, hun.
And if you look closely at I doubt. Oh, all right. Let me see if I hold it still, maybe. Is that better?
Yes.
Is that any better? Okay. If you look closely at the picture on the next slide, and on the bottom part of it, where we actually see a model number 8615, you can see that it has a company name, UT Starcom. Now, I'm familiar with UT Starcom. The first time I ever saw that, I was not surprised that model number was phony baloney, because being in the radio business, being in the cellular phone business, I'm familiar with the fact that Audiovox is a subdivision of a company called UT Starcom. Hopefully you can hear my dog barking? UT Starcom is not part of the model number. UT Starcom is the company that owns Audiovox. So what we know about this 8615 model, if you read what's highlighted in the yellow on that slide, you can see that phone is exclusive to a cellular company called Virgin Mobile, and from that company is famous for offering prepaid phones. So if I kind of summarize on the next slide, if you want to go to slide 9, where I zoom in, where you can read that a little bit better. And this is not, by the way, this picture is not the picture of the actual phone. This is a picture that I downloaded from the internet
An
of the exact
example.
same model phone.
Right, an example. Very
Well,
good.
I'm glad you
An
clarified that,
example.
because
Yeah,
I was
we
like,
need to
well,
take a
there's
moment.
the number.
So wait.
Let's take a moment to really, really clear that up so that we don't start a red
Yeah.
herring, you guys. Jeff has made it very amply
Yeah.
clear. This is an example of a phone. This is not the case related phone that we have in the case, okay? Just an example, but he's showing you that if you remove your back case and your battery on this model of phone, beneath that is the sticker inside there, and it's got codes that he's going to explain a little bit to us. Is the sticker inside there, and it's got codes that he's got.
Yep.
Jeff, are you listening to the call with us? Because you're delayed a little bit from us, and that's what I was kind of wondering through this thing. If you want to mute the YouTube, because I'm hearing ourselves back.
I'm watching the YouTube. Well, I'm not. Yeah, I'm
I'll
looking
change
at
the
my own
slide
PowerPoint
with you.
presentation, because for some reason
Yeah.
the YouTube is not working. It's really delayed for me.
Yep, it always is really delayed. So if you
slide
want to go
9,
ahead and just trust
on.
me, I'll be on the slide. And that way you can mute the YouTube. And if
Okay.
you stay on the Hangout call, your voice will be right in time with us.
Okay. I'll
Very
mute the
good,
YouTube
very good.
here.
Yep.
Excellent.
then-
So YouTube is muted.
Yes, that'll help
and
you a
now-
lot. And also,
Okay.
you won't lose as much reception because your bandwidth will increase.
Awesome. Okay. Okay. So we're on slide 9, and what we can see is the model number of the phone, and this is again the reason why I picked this phone to download is because it is the model number, the same model number. That would be like the manufacturer, like a Toyota RAV4. The RAV would be the model. Toyota would be the make, and RAV would be the model. And you can see that it is an CDM 8615 PP, and that stands for prepaid, which is not surprising because Virgin Mobile is a prepaid provider. And you can see at the very top of that, written in the purple, is the UT Starcom, who is the owner of the company Audiovox. And it's not clear to me on what planet somebody would think that UT Starcom is part of the model number.
Jeff, I have a quick question.
By the way, they deliberately, sure.
The prepaid, is that where in the old days when everybody had to have phone plans back in 2005, and this was a newer type of venue, the PP, the prepaid, is that where people call it, such as crass, a burner phone? Because it's disposable, basically, if you don't have to have a monthly bill. Is that where burner phone comes from, the word, the term?
So that right, and that's the term that Kratz ended up calling it, as a burner phone.
Okay.
But I'm going to show you the manual for this phone in a couple of slides, and you can you can tell me. So there's two things, and we'll talk about them in the next slide. If I could just finish on this slide for 1 second. The number that's in the box, the serial number, the so-called electronic serial number, is the number that you'd want to use if you were going to subpoena whatever records that Virgin Mobile would have about that phone. They would need that serial number. So that's sort of the magic number. And I'll get into in a few minutes what you might be able to find from that number, and what you might not be able to get. If you can switch to slide 10, we can talk about that. But what you could minimally, what you'll be able to get from that number is what is the telephone number associated with that serial number. So you're at least going to get that, which is kind of what you need. We have a lot of subpoena phone records, right? We have Teresa's records, we have Ryan's records, we have Bobby's records, we have all of Steven's records. Is this number a number that appears on, that would minimally link it to the case because of the records. Now, it's also possible that they could provide, and after all this time, it's not clear they could still do it. But technically, at the time, they probably could have provided us information about, what were the recent calls made on this burner phone? Who were they to? That type of information, because that type of billing information is what is stored by cellular companies. What calls are they making? And if it was a minute by minute charge, how long did this phone last? How long did this phone call last? So they could show you, appropriately deducted from your minutes and whatnot. But you can see on this slide how they doctored the name in the CASO report based on information they were able to see by looking at it. And the kicker to me here is that the only place that the CDM 8615 appears is underneath the battery cover, right? So in order to know that it was an 8615 or whatever model it was in the first place, you had to remove the battery and be looking at the be looking at the serial number that was there, which is the number you need to perform all your magic. So is this deliberate obfuscation on their part, or was it really just somebody who wasn't educated about phones making an unfortunate accident when they wrote down the model number?
Okay, so on the CASO,
I have an answer in my mind.
On the CASO, they wrote it as model CDM 8815 UT star CAM. But the actual phone itself was CDM 8616 PP. So you can see they switched up the last digit, or quite a few of the digits. and it goes from an 8815 to an 8616. So
That's
we got,
my typo. That should be 8815, not 8816 on the phone. That's my
yeah,
typo.
it says 8815, but then 8616 PP is the actual phone, right?
8615 is the actual phone. You can see it in the black ink below.
Okay,
mine,
so they
but I
switched
have a
up the
typo.
8. Okay, gotcha.
So you're right, exactly.
So the
and
6
isn't
should
it
be
easy
a
to make
5.
a 6 look like an 8? Yeah. Think
Yeah, I
about
see
how
what they're
easy it is to
saying.
make a 6 look like an 8. Oh, I need to change this. Whoops.
Yeah. Yeah,
Right.
they're
And
hiding
so
the
you need
identity of
that,
the
and that's
phone.
the actual. Yep. And why are they doing that? Well, probably they're doing that. You wouldn't need to hide it unless you found out something was evidentiary about it.
Yeah, you wouldn't want to hide something if you were doing your job proper. And in this case, you wouldn't want to hide anything relative to the case unless you were focused on a tunnel vision and this did not play into your story the way you needed it to. So if this didn't fit the story that Teresa was murdered by Steven Avery, which is the prosecution's cell, then that would be the only reason I could think of that they would hide it. And it's quite obvious that they're calling it a star cam so that if people look it up, they're not going to know to look up star com.
Right. And the way that they separate the words star and cam in my mind, and they're trying to make it seem like a model number. That's the cool spoiler kind of model number. So it's it really is just the shenanigan after shenanigan with these guys.
Yeah.
My very last slide, Rubberducky, gets into the question that you were asking about identity. Okay, and one thing that always bothered me, you have to watch Kratz like a hawk, right? He'll say, "Oh, this is a burner phone. We can't learn any information about it." Well, I already told you, you can definitely get the phone number. There's no doubt about getting the phone number. At the time, I'm confident you could have probably even turned the phone on and view the message history. I can show you where that is in the owner's manual. But what I thought I'd show you on this last slide was a picture of the phone, the 8615, as is shown in the owner's manual, and a snippet from the owner's manual itself. Okay, that tells you how to top up your account in the event that you run out of minutes. And there's two ways to do it. The first way to do it is if you have a credit card registered with Virgin Mobile. So do you think you're going to be able to hide your identity if you have a credit card registered with Virgin Mobile?
No.
I don't think so. And the second way that you can do it is if you buy one of these cards. What they have a pithy name, a top-up card, which is in the second highlighted thing. And so if you buy one of these top-up cards, like you see the gift cards at when you go to the drugstore, the CVS, you can buy the Visas, the American Expresses, or the Steam cards, or whatever Applebee's, whatever gift card you want. Back in the day, you could buy a top-up card for Virgin Mobile, and if you type in the number that's on that card, that would immediately be added to your account. Now, if you happen to pay for that card with a credit card, I suspect that you'd also be able to, that would be linked back to an identity as well of somebody who might do that, because even back in the day, they wanted to get that type of information. So the only real way to maintain anonymity would be to purchase that top-up card with cash.
But Jeff, I have a
Otherwise,
quick
they might have
question.
information. Yes. Yeah.
So even if I was to purchase all of this with cash, including the phone itself, in order to get a phone number from Virgin Mobile, would they not require validation that it is a person that they're registering the phone to, such as a person's, their name, their address, or anything?
You would now, but in 2004, you wouldn't.
So technically, in 2005,
the laws have changed.
Okay. So in 2005, you're saying
the laws have changed. Now,
okay.
Yeah. in 2005, you could get away with complete anonymity, and that actually changed after the Mumbai terrorist attacks, where they found that terrorists were coordinating their attacks using smartphones and taking pictures and sending them. This is where you want to hit next. This is where the police are.
Gotcha.
And after that, it was just people viewed it just having a completely anonymous cell phone was too risky. So you can't get a completely anonymous cell phone anymore.
But in the event that, let's say, an Audiovox is found and the prosecution is trying to hide and mislead any information about it, it's nefarious to me enough to think that they would have been able to track this phone in some way. If it wasn't something they could track, why would they hide it? Yeah. Like you said, you said a lot of the details of the phones and stuff 14 years later probably are not able to still be subpoenaed and found out. But would the phone, I didn't quite understand, would the phone number still possibly be available if Zellner got a subpoena for Virgin Mobile and she had this information that you've shown us in the back of underneath the battery, would she possibly be able to subpoena Virgin Mobile records to find out the phone number itself still in this day and age?
I believe she could.
Well,
could you
if we get a phone number,
you cut out, Chef.
If someone we had it.
Oh, you're a robot, love. I'm so sorry.
And ask them that.
There you are.
You just asked if we had the electronic serial number, would you have the what they would? Oh, yeah. My dog is barking. I don't know if you can hear my dog.
We can't hear the dog.
So
no, not really.
I would say that Virgin Mobile would. Virgin Mobile would answer the question as to whether or not they would provide the phone number whether they were capable of providing the phone number given the right subpoena to anybody. I think they would answer that question. You need a legal subpoena to actually give the phone number, but they would. I think they would answer to anybody who had need to know whether or not they could provide it based on the fact that it's been 14 years or 15 years, however long it's been.
Wow. Okay.
Well, and if
that's
we had
something I
the
hope
phone
Zellner
number,
does.
If we had the phone number, we could also compare that phone number to Teresa's, Ryan's.
We could do a lookup.
Anybody
on that phone number. Yeah,
yeah,
you would know the history of
phone
that phone number
that we have all the call logs of.
So as long as we're talking about phones, someone in the chat last week made a comment about the fact that the 8715 last four digits of one of the phone numbers, I'm not going to give the full phone number out, belonged to Scott Tadich. But I have done an extensive amount of research on that number, and it actually, according to the research that I've done, belonged to Tom Yonda first and then was transferred over to Barb Yonda, and it was considered a landline within their home. So for the viewer that was wanting to explain to me how it belonged to Scott Tadich, I would need to see some information. And anytime you guys have a link, there's several ways, or a tip, there's several ways to get a tip to us that we can get to Zellner as well as share with everyone here. That's, you can always Rubberducky 2005 at yahoo.com me, which is just an email, or you can go to the library and you can do it anonymously if you're not wanting your name attached to the information. And we have some anonymous tip emails there. You can put your name down as a rabbit, and link it there. But while I was thinking about the phone thing, I wanted to get that out there. So back to this. So what you've presented here is quite interesting. It makes me want to call Zellner and be like, hey, Kathleen, can you do me a favor? Can you go grab the Virgin Mobile number, serial code, and subpoena and figure out whose phone that is so we can start digging. That's what you made me want to do, Jeff, is literally contact Zellner and say, get a subpoena, get this Audiovox phone number for us so that we can really dig in and see whose this is.
And we'll
Did I
all do
get
the
your email
work.
right? I
What's
put
that?
it in.
I
Did I
think you
get
did.
it?
It's rubberducky2005@yahoo.com.
Okay.
Yeah.
Perfect. Wow, Jeff. So what are your personal thoughts on this, Jeff? I mean,
Well,
I get your paperwork, but go ahead and share like your theory, your feelings on this. This was a lot of work for you, and for you to do this for us is amazing. We're so grateful that you've it caught me by surprise how much work you've put into this. I really appreciate it. It's phenomenal.
well, like everyone that's listening right now, I have a passion about this case that's twofold. One, what they did to Stephen and Brendan is just inhuman. It's unbelievable that that they did it, and second that they're getting away with it, and it just can't stand. And second, because of that passion, and I have a particular expertise in the cellular. So anything I can do to apply my expertise, I'm gonna do in this case. And I have other avenues of research that I want to follow.
You've been a big supporter of the researchers too, as well, and donations of your time as well as monetary to help the researchers continue to dig. And I want to say that your passion isn't just something you speak about, but that you're diligent with it and that you pursue it. And it's amazing to have people like yourself that dig as deep as you do on things and contribute to actual information that is relative to the case to this day.
Oh yeah, I've learned a lot from his stuff that he has sent us, and me
Yeah.
reading. I found out things I didn't know because they're not in the CASO.
Yeah. Oh, by the way, we always have this theory that if we watch MaM, we're going to know most of it. And then oh no, we got to do the CASO. So we start reading the CASO and this is where we're going to get it all. Let me tell you something. There's a picture of Zellner with about, probably 100,000 sheets of paper. That is very, very much what I imagine this case paperwork is like. So there are avenues that every day we find out. We can't even bring you a quarter of the stuff that we're researching. So when we find something like Jeff found this information about the Audiovox phone very interesting and was able to bring all this up to us, this is something that should be looked into. This phone was laying near where the eyewitnesses saw what they say was the RAV4. And we have one eyewitness specifically, and I believe his name was Kevin Ramlow, and he went to the Senex station and reported the RAV to an officer who he said at the time was Colburn, and he's put out an affidavit saying it. He had actually used the missing poster of Teresa Halbach that had her vehicle on it as a match. So he was saying it matched exactly to the picture on her missing poster, the vehicle he was seeing. So if her RAV4 indeed was parked on the turnabout at 147 and this phone is laying near it, why on earth have we not been able to get someone in this case that has some clout, even like he's saying back when Strain and Buting came across it. Why was Pete Bass, which is the investigator for the defense back in 2007 and 5 and 6, why was he not on this trying to get the information on this? Why did the defense not pursue this hot and heavy? This could have been a phone that was registered to someone that is a suspect in the case. That would have tied them in quite neatly. And why? Because everybody just quit if it wasn't with Stephen. They just, oh, this has nothing to do with Steven, and it points away from him, so let's not talk about it. And let's go even further. Let's document the wrong information in the CASO and make sure that they can't just look it up on their own to verify this information. But they've underestimated us. So what I think's happened is the prosecution has underestimated the fact that there would be, and rightly so, back in 2007, there wasn't this huge internet level of communication. There was Facebook where we talked about, what we did with our kids and stuff, but there wasn't the multi platform levels that we could research together and we could show this. We weren't YouTube and this kind of stuff. I don't even know, was YouTube out in 2005? I mean, really?
I don't think so.
Yeah. So the prosecution wasn't counting on us being able to do that. So I always think of us like the backseat row to the poop show. I almost said it, to the poop show. And we're now looking back into this, and years later, we're able to look at this case. I think that's why the guilters have gotten so quiet. They're terrified. They are absolutely terrified that we are as a mass group no longer sheeple. We are free-thinking individuals. We are questioning everything. We're questioning the state of Wisconsin and their ethical decisions and unethical decisions. We absolutely have given up on the idea that we were working with a prosecutor that had ethics. And we've even begun to question the ineffectual counseling. Why on earth would they have not pursued this type of lead? It just blows my mind. Just blows my mind.
I'd like to jump in. Tony said that it's E.T.'s phone, Big Jeff.
E.T.'s phone, Big Jeff. E.T. phone home.
Yeah.
You want to take some questions? There's lots of questions.
Maybe can ask Tony if he can test it for E.T.'s DNA.
Oh, Lord. Okay.
Yeah, there's a lot of questions.
Let's scroll up a little bit and see where we are, where I start on the questions. They're working out their sound there. I'm just scrolling, you guys. Give me a second to find where we start. We did answer the question about the person in the water, about the paperwork. Kat says, Pam's not a reliable witness. This is true. Like I said, she said it was a two-door car that she found in the pretrial, then switched. She also said that she used her sleeve to see if the RAV4 was locked in the pretrial. And in the pretrial, they asked her, "Are you sure you didn't use a tissue or a napkin?" No, I didn't. And then she gets on the trial. What did she say she used? So, okay. I'm looking here. So Mary says, phone no is a SIM card if the SIM card no number. Okay.
She's also Teresa and related to Pagel.
Yeah, Pam is Teresa's cousin.
Yeah, and she's related to Pagel, if I'm not mistaken, or she's related to law enforcement. So maybe it's the Calumet.
Do we
I'm not hearing any
Ducky?
voice.
I'm sorry. I had a real time. One of my children came in and was asking me a ton of questions, and I'm like, I'm on a live, and I can't answer all this.
Ducky.
Yeah, and my son, he's like, Mom, people know you have a real life, I'm like, well, I know, you're not understanding. So, I'm sorry, I missed some of the. Okay.
Pam Strom is related to.
Pam Sturm is related to.
I missed that. Related to whom?
Teresa and Pagel, isn't it?
Oh, absolutely. It's Sturm, and she was actually a Jackal was her maiden name, And the
Okay.
you guys want to take a moment and kind of
Yeah,
giggle?
I need a moment with that one because that just delighted
Okay,
me.
right. Pam Sturm's maiden name was Jackal, and she married into the Sturm family. And jackals are actually the ones that are related, not Sturm. Jackal, the name, is related to the Hawbucks as well as Pogel. So Sheriff Pogel and Pam would have probably known each other most likely prior to her finding the
Of
raft.
course.
And she would have definitely known. Now, I've always found this interesting as long as we're talking about this. How is it that Ryan says he had never met Pam if he had been dating Teresa for 5 years, knew her for 3 years after that? So we're talking 8 years of Teresa's life, constantly in her home, knows where she keeps her vibrator, knows where she keeps her box for her phone and her
dirty
camera,
clothes.
her
Both
dirty
places
clothes,
where her dirty clothes are.
her clean underwear, her dirty underwear. He knows every detail of this poor woman's life and is staying in her home, the victim's home, while she's missing and then later presumed dead. And yet he meets Pam Sturm for the first time on Saturday, 11:05:05. I don't buy that. I just don't buy that. Yeah. I'm not able to see a lot of questions. Cinnabar does write, Cinnabar Zoe writes, does anyone know if the defense brought up question this phone in court? Jeff, you want to address that question?
Well, that's what was on the first couple of slides. Is that
she might have came in late? She might have came in late.
Yeah.
Yeah, we re-answer.
Is the slide deck going to be available in the library for people to read if they want it?
Actually, when we upload to YouTube, when we do this, we actually give them the rights to the how do I put it? We give them the rights to the movie itself that we're making. Mm-hmm. And so we can do a link to this live, but we can't just put the slide in it.
Grace. LL Grace did a shout out for $10.
Thank you, LL Grace. You guys are wonderful. Thank you so much.
So sweet.
So
you can't, the slide deck that I emailed you can't put in the library?
I'll be putting the live in there that has it.
Okay,
so I've run through it while you're talking. I've shown every slide that you've talked about. Awesome. And I'll be able to put a link to the video there. And they'll be able to look at all the slides through the live if that'll work.
Okay. Yeah, that will work. I just wanted to make sure that they had access to it, but I'll answer the question. Jerry Buting did bring it up. As a matter of fact, it was among the first questions that he asked Pam Sturm before he even asked her about the RAV. He asked her, did you go, is it you that were in the search party that found this Audiovox phone in the area of the turnaround? And I think that line of questioning took Kratz by surprise, and Kratz went into I know nothing mode. So he did bring it up at the trial. He asked why there was no discovery provided to him about it. Yet we find it on page 187 of the CASO. So it's not clear to me whether Dean and Jerry missed it, even though it's in the first 19% of the CASO, whether it wasn't there and was put in later in the order that we have now is, not necessarily how in the order that they were temporally written, but they put it there because that's around the right time frame to stick it in. Whether it was
and also didn't Zellner once get some that didn't have the whole complete set there? She was missing a page.
She was missing the vital page. She was missing page 1117. So for those of you,
who knows what they passed out at court time?
Go figure.
Yeah, that's such a good point, Lord. For those of you that are on the CASO Daily Read, and often people think that the CASO is 1,116 pages. It is 1,117.
I want to add that LL Grace, she said, is another great live. I find myself anticipating these throughout the week. Justice is coming. I pray sooner than later. Thanks for everything you do, RD and researchers. Signed, LL Cool J. Like
We
Dee
love you
says.
guys. Thank you
Yeah.
so much. Thank you so much. And I thank all of you for always being passionate in the case. And we do keep this case rolling because without Zellner and without the listeners, we have nothing. We have absolutely nothing that protects Stephen and Brendan. So every time you guys are doing something, whether you're just talking about the case with somebody, whether you're tweeting, whatever you're doing, that is keeping the guys, they're being talked about, you're actually protecting their safety as well. I really honestly believe that. There are times, you guys, I have a fear that I'm going to go to sleep one night and everybody's going to forget about the case and move on, and then something's going to happen to these two guys. So every day I wake up and I know that I see a lot of tweets and I see a lot of work on it. I know that Brendan's safe and Stephen's safe because as long as the world's watching, they're protected.
And it's public awareness that's going to bring down this house of cards, just like I've said all along.
Absolutely.
That's right. And
Absolutely.
Mary is said, and he had scratches, didn't he? And I think scratches from hiding the wrap, just her opinion.
I think she's talking about Ryan.
Ryan,
Yeah.
Um,
Oh, or as he said, it was phone numbers written on his hand.
He said
Yeah.
it was phone numbers, but recently somebody out there made a mention and actually showed the picture, and you can each get the picture. It's when he's at trial and he's in that long sleeved white button up shirt.
Blue stripes.
Yeah, there's little stripes on the white shirt. You can see the back of his hand, and he's got some serious scarring. So if that's handwritten phone numbers, what did he do? Get it tattooed?
Carved them in.
So there's a couple theories with Ryan's scratches. One would be, of course, that, like you guys are saying, that it is possible that he got scratches when he was hiding the RAV because he has a day planner. The day planner would have been in the RAV with the victim. Now, the other thing I wonder is when you look at those scratches, they are almost perfectly spaced apart parallel. And if you take your fingernails and you just curve your hand, run your fingernails along your leg, your pinky doesn't contact. You get 3 serious scratches. You see 3 serious scratches on the back of his hand. But on the other hand, you can only see a scratch on the very edge of that pinky. So if you layer your hands over each other, because you've got your hands wrapped around someone's neck, let's say, and it's a small neck, your hands are going to overlap. You might not have covered that little pinky on the other hand, but you may have covered the back of one of your hands and left the other hand available, which if I scratched you, I might get a scratch on your left pinky and then the other 3 scratches on your right hand where you've overlapped your hand to do the choking. So if Ryan was choking someone and somebody was scratching him, I would expect to find a little scratch on that outside pinky on the other hand, in which we do. He has the same mark on the other hand, but it's only on the pinky. So that's always kind of got me a little bit. Just so you guys know, Eric Cozy is doing a premiere right now on Brendan Dassey, and awesome new paper written, and it's part 1, and there's some highlights. So when we're done here, make sure you head over there at Eric Cozy's as well. Okay, you guys, do we have any other questions before we switch to the next topic? Or is there anything you want to add, Jeff, or anybody in the call here?
Well, I just like to thank you, Rubberducky, for giving me the opportunity to air my research on this, and I really feel that's the public awareness of this and everybody digging that's gonna bring down that house of cards, and I hope it happens sooner rather than later. The shenanigans continue in the appellate court with Judge Suck, and that's just a travesty how she can continue.
I know, she's killing me. Well, you will keep us updated if you find out anything more, won't you?
I will, certainly.
Well, thank you, Jeff. Again, the work you did, I wasn't expecting that kind of work. It was phenomenal. you know, our lives are usually just a chat, but to have that PowerPoint, I was a little nervous how we were going to do the presenting, but it worked really well. And being able to share that with them so that they can go back and take their time and understand what you're saying, how important this Audiovox phone really was. And I think we would have not looked at it a bit had it not been a hidden thing. Like, they didn't want to talk about it. And anytime the prosecution in this case doesn't want to talk about something, oh, red flags go up everywhere for me. I don't know about you guys. Now, Lynn Johnson says, would this specific phone had only been available as a prepaid back in that time frame, there were certain phones only for prepaid options. She's asking,
Yes. The answer to that question is yes. The Virgin Mobile carrier is more famous for the prepaids.
Okay, so that model would have strictly been a prepaid at that time. And that's what the PD means? Okay.
Yes, that's exactly right. And the US Starcom was also the prepaid. There would be an 8615 model available for Verizon, but it wouldn't have been called UT Starcom.
Okay. Well, and the fact that, like you pointed out, so that it wasn't Starcam, two different words. It was Starcom.
Yeah,
it's a company's name. And
Yeah.
if you look at the logo that on this last slide, they're the company that owns Audiovox. Audiovox is a division of UT Starcom.
Okay, I'll crank back over to that real quick on the last one, or maybe the one before. Yeah.
Maybe.
I got it on 10. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And if you want to find it for yourself, Google UT Starcom Audiovox logo, and you'll find that probably halfway through the images. It's not.
Well, is it there's a couple words in this case that I can't do anymore. I used to not have a problem with the word coincidence. I actually thought it was a cool word. Now
Right.
I want to vomit when somebody says coincidence. Oh, don't you think it was a coincidence? I'm like, okay, help me. Somebody control my controlled rage.
Number 7,856.
Right.
Deliberate obfuscation.
Yeah.
Right.
And then the other word is typo. I can't do typo anymore. I can't say enough that if I typed
I don't
every
even
day
have a
the rest
number
of my
big
life,
enough
I
to
couldn't have
throw
that
in there.
many. I know, right? Even if I
yeah.
typed every minute of my life for the rest of my life, I couldn't have this many typos. Couldn't.
Right.
And the typos are on strange locations. And a
Yeah,
lot of the times,
conveniently located typos.
yeah, a lot of the times you see it where it's the reason the typo is there is quite clearly because it's supposed to mislead you. So they do a couple letter switches or they do a couple number switches to obscure what the real information is. And whenever you have somebody obscuring information intentionally, you have to ask, why are they obscuring it? Which is what Jeff's big point is. Why? Okay, if the Audiovox phone is not important, why are they obscuring not only the model number, but the model name and the company name? So it's not UT Starcam, it's UT Starcom. And that would have allowed a lot of people in those days, such as Beauty in them, to be able to back had they had it correct. Very, very frustrating.
I find with this case, it's not only what's there, but what's not there. There's a lot of stuff missing and misplaced, and just you have to read between the lines.
Right. So we still
evidence,
don't know whose phone this is. We're nowhere closer to finding out. However, Jeff did give us an idea, a suggestion that Zellner could possibly subpoena Audiovox, Starcom, and what was it, for Virgin Mobile?
Virgin Mobile, yes.
Virgin Mobile, to be able to find out still to this day possibly what the phone number was, and that you all know what we could do with that. Ooh,
Oh, yeah.
ooh, ooh,
Zellner's
ooh.
team wouldn't have to even do the work after they got it. We would do it.
Oh, right. Yeah.
Yeah,
That's right.
yeah.
Hey, is that phone even still in evidence? Right.
Well, is the RAV
What's
even
in
still in
evidence?
evidence?
I swear that I honestly have fear that there's one thing in evidence. I think they're just telling us stuff is in evidence because we're not seeing it. Look, they gave her the bullet. They gave Zellner the bullet, and look what we were able to do. Zellner was able to get experts on there, and as you just watched, and if you haven't watched it, please do. We watched the whole workup video about jumping the gun, it's called, and Dr. Sookman presented that for us of the bullet. And we got one piece of evidence from this case that we were able to break down through Zellner's experts. There's no blood, there's no bone. There's only, how does it kill somebody? Better yet, let me ask you this. Okay, so you can test DNA, they can test spit, they can test blood, they can test tissue, they can test urine and semen. Okay, if there's no blood and there's no bone, we're only looking at spit, semen, and tissue. There's no tissue. We've ruled that out. There's no blood and there's no bone. It only leaves urine and semen, basically. And neither one of those found on that bullet of Teresa's, which she can't have semen, so it only leaves urine. There's no way she spit on the bullet to kill her, nor did she pee on the bullet to kill her. So the bullet is out. Bullet's over. Washed up. Didn't happen. Could not. Not only is it's toast. The bullet was not the bullet that killed this lady. Was not. It is done over. State is screwed. Just completely. Like Tony's saying, item FL, which is the state crimes number for exhibit, was FL. Never touched Teresa, period, Tony says. Absolutely agree. So when you have them falsifying information about the bullet, now, do we want to talk about the key? That's already washed up too. So we got no key found in Stevens. We've got really no bullet that killed Teresa there. They're hiding the Bones identity. They're hiding this Audiovox phone identity. They hid the identity of the Pap smear in the sense that they call it an intimate sample. And when you look at an intimate sample, why is it not a medical sample with medical paperwork?
Right. Sounds like crap.
It doesn't sound like a Pap smear to me. A Pap smear we have established that, yes, they could have gotten a Pap smear. But did they? Because they call it an intimate sample. It sounds more, when you guys think about it, like a vibrator,
it makes me think Kratz swabbed her vibrator
or something. We'll just throw that all out there. It just sounds somewhat suspicious, more than somewhat. So, okay. All right, guys, we're going to switch gears. Everybody ready for this? We're going to go get a different PowerPoint. Let me see if I've got that one.
I hope so.
I got it somewhere in here. Like I said, my computer runs extremely slow when I'm on these lives. It ties up a lot of the thinking process. So we got to go
also, Sammy has been passing out a Dropbox link.
Okay.
If any of you want the PDF, it's there. You can download it. You can view it later. You can whatever.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's not the PDF that's in the library, is it?
No.
Okay, because that goes right back to my Dropbox.
No.
Okay.
It's in
just double checking.
Dropbox.
Oh yeah, Dropbox. Just making sure.
Yeah, I grilled her. I grilled her very well today. She's been over that link time and time again.
Okay. Yeah. All right, you guys. We're going to switch gears. Thank you, Jeff, by the way, and please stay with us as we switch gears over to BB a little bit. Okay, BB. So This isn't a funny video, but it's a serious topic, actually. But you usually do kind of the more humorous videos that kind of lift our spirit, and I'm looking forward to those too.
Well, the first page is not an actual photo. I constructed it.
Okay.
And it is only a small sample of what actually went on. I would have had to fill the field next door.
Let me kind of bring them in as to what we're going to talk about. So this is a picture of Teresa Halbach's actual home at the time when she was alive. And this is her driveway. And like BB's explaining, she has photoshopped and put a whole bunch of cop cars there. And now she has a title, When is Enough Enough? And you're thinking, what in the world is this about? Well, before we get rolling, let's do a little poll. I'm going to switch screens. We're going to go back to the live. We're going to ask you guys before we start, how many times do you think that the police, law enforcement, entered Teresa's home? And you can base it on anything you want. You can make your guess based on how many times there's reports of them being in the home meeting with Ryan or Scott Blodorn. You could base it on just what your wild guess is from nothing. But this is the question.
You can take a bag half full of jelly beans and count them and guess.
Yep. And if any of you get the right number, you can be our next guest on Friday Night Live. How's that sound? Because you'll be a psychic.
From CASO, you'd think like 3 to 5, right?
Okay, Jeff, you're right. If you read the CASO, or if you're reading it with us, you're gonna guess 3 to 5 times. All right. Is there anybody else that has a guess? How many times police actually visited Teresa's home? James Barlow says twice. Okay. Are the pics blurry? Sorry, guys. Sorry. Okay, we've got 2 people saying 9. We've got Tyson and LL Grace both guessing 9. 8 for Ashley. I'm going to tell you guys, go ahead and add some zeros if you want. Jeannie Morrow. I paid attention a bit. 134.
Well, she by far is the closest.
So far, Jeannie, you're the closest. Kat says 10. And Robert says 3. James Barlow says 6. Okay, you guys. Any more guesses before we give the floor over to BB to clear up how many times the cops went into Teresa Halbach's home? All right, I think we got pretty much the guesses out there. So the average guess, if I had to kind of swing it, would be about 7. Is that about right, BB?
Nowhere near. Okay, so somebody passed me a spreadsheet, and I'm not sure who made it. I assumed probably some people on Reddit. I don't know. I just wound up with the spreadsheet. And it's a lot of the movement of the police during their investigation.
And thank you to whoever did the spreadsheet. It didn't have a name attached.
It was wonderful.
So we want to make sure they know.
Yes. So I'm looking down the spreadsheet, and I keep seeing over and over again, Teresa's house, a few other places, Teresa's house, of course, Steve. Teresa's house. So I go all the way down to the bottom, and I'm like, oh my God, how could they be there that much? So I went up and sorted it by Teresa's house. And there was 171 entries, but they're not all, because a few of them have where they were dispatched, where they were en route, and then where they arrived. And some of them did not have where they arrived, but they're en route. And some only have where they're dispatched. So it's quite hard to count. And it's a very, very boring PDF. I'm sorry, but we're working with some pages on a spreadsheet. So I cut them up by the days, and I laid them out day by day. Ducky, you want to hit the next slide?
Okay, I'm on November 3rd, 2005.
Yeah, I got a bit of a lag here. I'm waiting for the lag to catch up.
What I'm on is November 3rd, 2005. Okay, BB, you've got each one of these broke. Now. Let me kind of explain how BB has broke this down. So at the top of the page, you're going to see a red date, That's the date we're talking about, and only that date. And then on the left side, she's kind of giving you a summary of who's there, or how many's there and what times. And then on the right, she's got the actual people that were there in their times. And then the spreadsheet for that day is right there in front of you for you to review. Okay. So on November 3rd, 2005, BB, you want to kind of go over this one?
This is the day that Teresa would be called in missing. And by the way, this does not count when they went to Karen Halbach's house. I've seen 2 entries for that. This has nothing to do with that. This is just solely Teresa's house.
Okay, so at 5:01, at 5 p.m. was the first I'm seeing.
Yep. They began going there at 5 o'clock in the afternoon, and they stopped at going there at 7. How long they were there, I have no idea. But one of them went a second time that day, and that is Leslie Lemieux.
Yes.
Yes.
And Weaker and Dietrich.
Yeah, but Leslie went 2 times that day.
Leslie
went there too.
John Dietrich was dispatched, but it doesn't have him arriving there, does it?
Well, see, that's where the math on this is really tricky. So it took me several weeks to try and unravel this and figure it out the best I could. So this is the closest count I can come up with. If anybody can do better, hats off to you.
Yeah.
But working on what I was working with, this is the best I could do for math.
I think you did a great job.
Yes.
So this doesn't, okay. So far, you guys, on the 3rd.
That looks okay, normal. Yeah. That looks normal, real normal.
I would have expected them past 7 o'clock myself, because I would have thought at this point.
That's when the last one arrived.
Right.
So I don't know if he's there for 5 hours or 10 minutes. I have no way. Yes.
Now, we all know that by the 3rd, they've reported her missing. And we also have Ryan Hilligus and Scott Blodorn, plus some of Teresa's friends, are reporting that they are already at her home and that they're doing computer work to try to find out the last place she's been, and where we get the hacking of the phone occurring and all kinds of stuff. Okay, should I go to the next slide, BB?
Yep. Move her along.
All right. So I'm showing November 4th, 2005. And it says 5 officers.
Right. I'm waiting for lag. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, YouTube does that. Oh. Isn't it always interesting how Wendy Baldwin and Pogel are always together? Like every time I see Pogel's name, it's like 3 lines later, Wendy Baldwin.
Oh, I'm still waiting for lag.
Okay.
That's his shadow.
I can just pull up my copy of this.
Yeah, that's what you should do probably.
Yeah.
Yeah. You'll want to be looking at yours, because as soon as I let you know that we're on it, they are actually going to see it very shortly.
Oh, crap.
Mary said 170. She's pretty close.
Well, yeah, there was 171 entries on the PDF. For some reason.
Oh, Mary said it's 4 a.m. Oh my gosh, Mary, we love you. Wow. LL Grace says, so where is the reports? Shouldn't they write one each time they go? I don't know, but I'm guessing you would have to document it. Great point. Huh. Great point. Okay, go ahead, BB.
Yeah, as soon as I can get my computer to do something.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I'll fill in a little bit here.
There we go. Okay.
You got it? Perfect.
Wait, I'm working my way there.
Gotcha.
Now I finally got my window to drop down. Computer.
Well, it's only 4 a.m. for Mary, so take your time.
Yeah. So sorry.
We love you, Mary. Sorry it's 4 a.m. for you, love.
Hopefully she's up early, because she has to be up early and not still up waiting to hear this.
Right.
This is really boring, geeky stuff here.
Well, it's very boring in the sense that you're looking at a spreadsheet, but when you take it off the spreadsheet and I'm going to go back to the first slide. If we're looking at as many people as we are, then BB didn't even put a tenth of the cars that should have really been here.
No, I could have filled up the whole field on the side.
Yeah. Yeah, you could have kept going for days.
And my thing is being very problematic. Let me see.
Okay, November 3rd,
I have it in 600 places here, so.
So we talked about November 3rd, and that would still, I mean, for the first few days, I would expect, or even at times where you guys are right, where there's a report where somebody has went in the home and they've stated their reason is to collect DNA samples, or they're there to interview possibly a family member, which it should have been a family member in my opinion, on what Teresa's habits were, on her phone records, things of that nature, I would understand. But when you don't have reports, what were they really doing there?
Okay, so we're on the 4th.
Yep, we're on the 4th.
They start at 8 a.m. They're there till 12 in the afternoon. They have
now that would have been while the search is going on.
They have 5 officers there, and one of them comes for a second time. So
Gary Schultz, right?
Yep.
So what we have is we have Gary Schultz, Mark Wiegert, Jerry Pogel, and Wendy Baldwin. And
I hate saying their names because I murdered their names.
Well, you're not going to disrespect them. They've done that themselves.
You're right, but nobody would know what I even said. Yeah. Okay, so that day still looks pretty normal.
Pretty good. Okay, should we jump ahead?
Yeah, let's roll her along.
Whoa, so this is the day they find the RAV, right? The 5th.
Yes. And we have 12 officers there, and they start at 10 o'clock in the morning, and they're there till 11 p.m. And there's none of them come and go. They're just, they come the one time.
I see a couple names I've never heard. Well, a name I've never heard of.
There's a few names in here that we've never heard of.
3.
And there's actually 4 females.
Okay, what I don't know is Chuck Mays, Jim Rogers, and Keith Risto. They all at what time? So 2301 would have been about 11:01 p.m. All 3 of them show up at Teresa's home at 11 p.m. at night. And they are just showing up. And we have no reports on this.
And we have no way to know how long they were there.
Or what they were doing.
Right. What about when they were there in the morning, Saturday morning at 8:30, sending a fax from her house?
Where's that? Why isn't that on here, right?
Yep. Because let me see, Peggy.
Well, when I was putting this together, and I would at times I was doing it at the time the CASO was out, and I caught mistakes where like Hawkins supposedly, and I believe it's the 13th, turns into evidence some of Steve's DNA or something and some of Teresa's. And Ducky had said during the CASO, why is he holding them both together? So I went and looked at the right slide, and they weren't even there that day. He was there. Hawkins was there the day before at like 5 a.m. So how long did he hold that evidence of whatever he had from Teresa's house before he turned it into evidence? Where was it all night? He had it for a day and a half at least or whatever. So
right.
I don't know. I was kind of disturbed by that. You were disturbed by the fact that he's handed in both Teresa's and Steve's together. But I'm disturbed that he had Teresa's for like a day and a half before he turned it in with Steve's.
Well, and a lot of the times in the CASO, they're reporting that they're just putting this stuff in their vehicle. So let me ask you something. If DNA is a highly, highly transferable, let's say...
And sensitive thing.
Let's say they grab Steven Avery's clothes, and they stick them in the back seat. Let's get something else. Let's get a shovel that they know he used in his yard. And they're like, well, let's put that shovel on the seat. Well, they just put DNA of Steven on their seat. Now they take the shovel out, they give it to somebody. The next day they drive along, go over to Teresa's, and they grab something from Teresa's, and they set it on the back seat. Underwear. And they set it on the back seat. All of a sudden, they've now done what is, I mean, all of us know what cross-contamination is. They have, from the very get-go, they're risking cross-contamination throughout this entire case. And if this case is how they've done the rest of the cases of those that are considered convicted, I'm wondering how many actual convicts do we have that are actually not guilty? I mean, this cross-contamination and handling of evidence is, we might as well have let a band of monkeys through this case.
Yeah, they're a bunch of clowns.
I think the clowns work at the crime lab. I think the monkeys are the ones grabbing all this stuff.
I had to say it. I'm sorry. I have another word for that, but I couldn't use the other part of it.
Yeah.
But still on the 5th, this still looks not that bad. You know, they were there for over 10 hours, but
okay.
Not that bad.
Should we jump ahead again?
Yeah, let's move along to the 6th.
Okay, you guys. And it doesn't get any better.
We have 21 officers and one for a second time. They started at 6 a.m. and they were there till 11 p.m.
So
I don't know if Ducky wants to read off 21 officers' names, but there's some new names.
Okay, we got Gary Steyer, John Dieter, Wendy Baldwin, Mark Weird, Dan Karcharski. Now I'm going to stop there a minute. Dan Karcharski is also the one that was there when the key was found. He was guarding the trailer. Dan Karcharski is the one that was around when they were also finding the broken glasses in the driveway. So that's who he is. Then we have a Joe Tenner, and I don't know him. I'm looking on the list. It says 825 is his number. I don't know him. Jerry Pogel, Brett Bowie. We've heard of him in the CASO. Mary Nicholas. Boy, she comes out of left field. Now, Richard Froelich, I've heard of him before. C. Windling, also heard of him. Gary Schultz, Leslie Lemieux, Bill Tyson, Keith Ristow, Leslie Lemieux again. Chris Windorf, heard of him. Jim Rogers, Chuck Mays, and Joe Tenner. The same three names. Now, hold on. Back up. Look at okay, on the 5th, you guys, we have a Chuck Mays, Jim Rogers, and a Keith Ristow showing up all at the same time on 11 o'clock at 11:01 on the 5th at night. Let's jump back to your page here. Who's signing in at 11 o'clock at Teresa's again? Well, actually, it'd be 10:30. No, it'd be 11 o'clock and 11:30. We get Jim Rogers, Chuck Mays, and Joe Tenner again. What are these three officers? No, and have no reports. Are they the night shift, or what's going on? 2 days in a row that the three people we don't know is showing up after 11 o'clock at the victim's home.
And for who knows how long. You're
right. So Bibi's pointed out that on day 6, or November 6th, 6:11 a.m. all the way till the next day, basically, until the wee hours of the morning.
Yeah.
So Ryan, when people have said that Ryan's working with the cops, let me tell you something. If he's staying in the victim's home, he's definitely working with the cops, because look at all this traffic.
He must have been making coffee and passing out donuts there, because let me tell you.
He had to entertain them.
Yeah. I'm looking at some of the weird statements, and one that pops out on the 6th is line 311 on the spreadsheet. It's 11/6/2005. It would have happened at 3:35 p.m. Leslie Lemieux is freed from incident.
No, that means they had dispatched her before that, and she was still somewhere else. And then she's freed from it. And so that's what I said. Part of the skewed math that I had to take into account when I counted these up. So,
okay. Leslie,
yeah.
I believe, is a guy.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
Well,
Okay.
no. Well, then
So
we have
strange.
a picture wrong. Then we have a picture wrong later.
I could be wrong, BB. I could be wrong. I just always thought it was a guy. I could be wrong. Okay, so again, I'm just going to say it's to me already. I would have a lot of questions for Chuck Mays, Jim Rogers, and Keith Ristow for showing up at the same time 2 nights in a row, all 3 of them together, 2 nights in a row. So should we go to the next slide?
7th. Yeah, let's go
Okay.
to the 7th. And here we have 15 officers. 2 came a second time, and they're there from 2 a.m. until 11 p.m.
2 p.m.
2 a.m.
2 a.m.
2 a.m.
2 a.m. Oh my Lord.
Okay, so on November 7th, they're showing up at 2 a.m. in the morning.
Yeah,
in the victim's home.
Military clock. Actually 2:30.14, but whatever.
Okay.
I rounded off, because this math drove me crazy.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Well, and guess who shows up at 11:30 or 10:30? 10:30. Chuck Mays.
Night shift. Clocking in.
This time he shows up. He's got a Mary Nicholas right after him and Kelly Sipple, as well as Leslie Lemieux. Now, Leslie Lemieux was the person that Karen Halbach had spoke to, I believe, when she reported Teresa missing. But look at all these people. 2:30 in the morning, 5:44 in the morning, 6:08, 6:19, 6:28, 6:28, 6:28. So who showed up together? Tyson, Sipple, and Steyer. Where's that report? We better find one. Hawkins, Windling, Ramir, all early in the morning. Yeah. Interesting.
I'd like to know whether Leslie Lemieux is related to the Lemieux who sold Teresa
with the car sticker. Yeah, I know, and that Ken Krantz is related to because he inherited money.
Yeah.
From that was my.
You may not ever find out if they're related to Kratz because nobody's going to claim that.
Yeah, right.
Right. But if you need a little Lemieux Toyota sticker, where would you go?
Yeah. Okay, guys, let's go ahead and go to the next slide.
Yeah. The 8th. We had 9 officers. They began at 6 a.m. and they only stayed till 8 a.m. And then there was a later incident at 9 p.m. where somebody came back. So, and there's our list of names. With the last one arrived at 8 a.m. How long they stayed, I don't know. Because this is the most I have found on this.
Well, so far we've got like 5 days of officers, right?
Yeah.
And we're like at, oh my gosh, I almost can't even, 36, 46, 48, 49, 56. 56 officers over 5 days so far. I mean,
so it's seeming like there's more police entering Teresa's house than ever went in Steve's trailer or Steve's garage.
I'm not getting over this.
Let's take Steve's trailer and the garage and put them together. And to me, it seems like more.
We're getting over just between the 3rd and the 8th. That's 5 days time.
Yep.
That many officers. I'm like, okay, what are they doing? I mean, did they have anything?
Well, one day was the
panty
raid. One day was the panty raid. The day they picked up the panties.
Oh yeah.
So we've got some comments, you guys. Daisy Lady says, "Hey guys," and she says, "Wasn't that Sipple on her 1031 photo shoot list?" So yeah, we had a Craig Sipple that was on Teresa's Hallbach. She was supposed to go take a picture and she was unable to get over there. So she hooked up with, was it Schmitz?
Schmitz, the other S name, yeah.
Yeah, where they shared the car or something. And there is something weird there too, because he states he lives in one place and then they go to another. He says he paid her by check, but we don't have check in the inventory. And you say, well, maybe she had her check in her pocket and the killer took care of the clothes by burning them. However, you have the investigator that's on the stand during the trial stating he saw the check. So, yeah.
All right. So that
Ashley
was the 8th.
Who is dispatching them there? Is this people calling from her house or having them come there? Good question. Mary said, they're making passports, BB. They're making passports. That's what they're doing there.
That was funny.
My husband made a funny, and he said that 1/3 of them was there to collect evidence to frame Steve with, and the other 2/3 of them were there to pack her up and help her move.
Ah. Okay, let's see here. What are they doing there? James wants to know.
You tell me.
Then Robert said,
idea.
Almost like a drug bust. Very good point, Robert. You know, if this was a drug bust at Teresa's home, let me tell you, that could explain why we have very, very cooperative Ryan and Scott Blodorn, you know? Like, they'll do pretty much anything they want.
Right.
Yeah. Jeannie says, just out of the blue, Teresa seems a little permissive to me, but not in a horrible way. Could she have been romantically involved with someone working in law enforcement? You just never do know at this point, Jeannie.
Yeah.
She goes on to say,
or somebody who's related to somebody in law enforcement, because they all are,
Yeah. Jeannie goes on to say, just like you said, somebody related or a son of a judge, etc. Could they be trying so hard because it's one of their ownish? Just a wild, way out there question. Hey, we welcome all questions. It's strange we don't have reports to go with
unfortunately,
these.
I have absolutely no answer for you on this. This is just
we're just
an
sharing
anomaly that I found, and this is me trying to work it out of my head.
Okay, we're gonna speed it up because there is a
lot
of
we still have a lot
here.
more to go. Yes.
Yeah. So what page are we on? We're on 8.
That was the 8th. Now we're on the 9th.
Okay.
12 officers go there, 2 of them for a second time. They start at 6 a.m. and they go to 12 a.m.
You've got your 10:30.
And
we have almost midnight for Jeremy Hawkins. So they're there around the clock from 6 a.m. till
and I have made a note down at the bottom on the right of what's said up here. I don't know what this means, but Bill Tyson took a transport vehicle. So I have no idea what that means, but I made it.
Vehicle.
Yeah,
that would imply. I want to just put a wild guess out there. I've heard this before, and I could be wrong, but I'm going to guess from my recollection that a transport vehicle is a vehicle that's able to transport another vehicle.
Possibly, or it could have a trailer to fill it up with her stuff, because they're
wouldn't you guys crap if her RAV was just sitting at her house the whole time until it was in the garage?
Or another thought that popped into my mind was a paddy wagon, because you're transporting a bunch of people. I don't know. That was just, I have no idea what that means.
9th, so by then they already had found the RAV.
You shouldn't have told me the RAV might have been sitting there, because now that's what I'm going to be thinking about.
I have no idea what that means
out there because we don't know.
I have no idea what that means, but it was the only time that appeared.
Okay.
So I made an extra note of it. Yeah.
I've jumped to the 10th. And
okay, let's go to the 10th.
Let's go to the 10th. We've got 14 officers, you guys, on the 10th
One
of
came
November.
A second time.
Let's update where we are. All right. So they've looked for the girl. They have not found her. They have found the RAV by now. That yesterday they would have arrested Steven Avery on the day that they've got. I'm going back to the 9th real quick. On the 9th, where you see the everything that happened here, Steve Avery was actually arrested on the 9th. So now that we're on the 10th, they've got Steve Avery in custody. They've got the Rev at the crime lab now, already been there for 4 days. And we're still in Teresa Habach's home. And we've got 14
We're
officers.
only like barely not even halfway through this yet.
Yep. 2:15 a.m. all the way till almost midnight again. Is there anything you want to call out specifically on this one?
No,
Okay.
nothing in particular. Just 14 officers walked through that door.
We've got 11:11, and there's 11 officers on the 11th. So it's 11:11.
2 of them for a second time. They start at 3 a.m. and they keep going there till 11 p.m. So,
they're there around the clock still. All right.
And then we go to the 12th, 9 officers, 3 of them for a second time. And they start at 5 a.m. and they go until 2 p.m.
Oh my gosh.
What is
guys, something just clicked big. Now, just hold a minute. You guys get to be here while my light bulb goes off. All right, I want to flip screens. I want you to pay close attention, and then I'll explain why. I'm just going to show you on the 12th, 9 officers. On the 10th, on the 11th, 11 officers. The day before, 14. The day before, 12. I mean, we've got full screens, right? There's no 14th at all. And on the 14th, we have 1. Let's back up. I'm going to show you that one more time. This is going to be really vital when I pull this together for you guys. We're going to go on the 12th, 9 officers from the middle of the morning, 5 o'clock in the morning, till very late in the afternoon. All right. On the 11th, sun up to sundown, 11 officers. On the 9th, Dassey Stevens arrested. Let me go up. Or the 10th even, 14 officers. And like I said, on the 9th, 12 officers. But on the 13th, we have no officers at Teresa Habach's. Guess what happened on the 12th? On the 12th, if you go to the CASO and you get page, I just got you guys, hold on. We're going to go do it. We're going to open up the CASO. I'm going to show you guys why we have nobody show up on the 13th.
This is the day that Jeremy Hawkins was there at 5 a.m. and he collected something because he turns it in on the 13th.
I wonder what Jeremy collected, because let my computer boot up. Wait till you guys see this dot-to-dot connection. We're going to go to 248. Let's grab the CASO. It's 248. We're going to read 2 pages real quick. 248 supplemental report, 11/12/05, Deputy Rick Reamer. What he's doing is he's getting all this good stuff ready here that came from Deer Camp and Site 10, E10, and Site E9, including at 10:38 on the 12th a.m., the first piece of bone was located in a burn pile from the item 643 burn barrel, and the collection of the burned bones and possible tissue pieces were turned over to him. Then let's go to the famous page 249, which is on the 12th, the day that all of a sudden, it's the last day, huge amounts of officers go to Teresa. Why? Well, let's find out. It's right here, page 249 of the CASO. Type of activity, supplemental report, date of activity, of course, 11/12/05. Reporting officer, Kelly Sipple. On the morning of 11/12/05, the state arson team returned to Avery property to finish collecting several evidence. The first item of evidence they were able to collect would have been that of the burnt garbage in an area that we refer to as Deer Camp at the Randit property, west-southwest of Steven Avery's residence. Now, here's the cinch. The final 2 pieces would have been that of some bone and flesh located in the Michael Material Quarry in the northeast of Avery property. Now, you guys pay attention. They just found on the one before their first piece of bone on the 12th.
And what time was that at?
This does not have a time, but hold on. I'm going to get to it in a minute. The final two pieces, like I said, came with bone and flesh attached from the Michaels material quarry. 9 o'clock in the morning on 11/12/05, I, Kelly Sipple, pulled all officers to the command post. We then began breaking down the area. And what area are they talking about? Guess where they're talking about? Deer Camp. Guess where they're talking about? Michael's material quarry. Because that's where they found the evidence, not Stevens. And at 11:28 a.m. on 11/12/05, Special Investigator Tom Fassbender turned the property back over to Avery's. So is it a coincidence, my favorite word, that we actually have them turn over the Avery properties and basically vacate Teresa Halbach's residence on the same date? Because we don't have a 13th. We go from the 12th with all these people, and then nobody goes to Teresa's on the 3rd, and they hand over the Avery property all at one time. You guys explain this to me, because I'm telling you, they're haunting. Baby, you did such good work. Look at this. Look at all this. All right. I'm just going to go to the back, right up to the beginning. All right. When's enough? All right. We've got 3 officers. They're there pretty much from, 5 o'clock in the afternoon till about 7 o'clock at night. Then you go the next day, 5 officers. The next day, 12 officers. The next day, 21 officers. The next day, 15 officers. Next day, 9 officers. Next day, 12 officers. And then the next day, 14 officers. And then the next day, 11 officers. And then on the 12th, 9 officers. Then they find what they're looking for, and we don't. And then the following day, we have 1 officer. And guess what they found? You got it. They found bone and flesh located in the Michaels material quarry, and they found 2 pieces. Now, when you look at item BZ, that nobody knows where it really came from, item BZ had a parentheses with a 2 inside, meaning 2 pieces. And what did they find? The final 2 pieces. Final. The guy used the word final. So they found their evidence right here on page, the most important page in the CASO. And it all stops at Teresa's house, the same time frame.
No, we're not done. We're only in the middle.
Oh, I know. I'm just saying, look at the change of events. We go from officers consistently in that home from sunup to sundown and even to the next day, and consistently, and yet it stops. There's nobody there on the 13th whatsoever, and then we have a few minors as we go. Okay, so let's go back to this on the 14th. I'm going to check with the crowd and see if they've got anything to add in at this point. So, Mary says, I just thought transport for her to airport.
That's a good one.
I like that. 10:13 p.m. Okay. Robert says, I would bet they had another RAV4 in police hauler swapping vehicles. Jeannie Monroe says, have they been at Teresa's more times than Stevens? Awesome question.
That's what I believe. I believe that there's no way to really tell, because they keep listing as Avery's junkyard, as they, they
were pretty much residents there.
But in my mind, it seems like they, between Steve's trailer and the garage, weren't even there as much as they were at her house.
And Robert brings up, wasn't the family at Box Hill? Good question. It's about finding the corpse then. You got it. You got it. They're on a body hunt. And when they say final pieces, that means final. That means they found what they were looking for. Mary, only 1 tea bag left. Oh boy. Daisy Lady wrote, the witness, neighbor at the southwest corner of Q and Jambo Road, I filled that in for her, was who reported the RAV4 and white Jeep plus Ellie going in past barriers down Cuss Road, would be the one to ask about this activity. Truth. That would be great. Siebert. Yeah. Wilmer Siebert. LL says, I'm confused. Why was they there when they only had a few items? Right. What's the point? Yeah.
Right.
Why
Yeah,
are they all
that's
in
what
the
I'm
home, you
saying.
guys?
This was
Why are
some
they all in home? Okay, I think
some
we're caught up on
anomaly
chat.
I stumbled across. It's just I can't explain the anomaly. It's just
Yeah,
what
we're
it is.
just showing all this. But I mean,
Okay.
there's no
So on the
denying.
14th, we had
Okay.
one officer at 4 p.m. He got there.
Okay,
Okay.
Keith Bristow. All
Yeah.
right. Now I'm on the 15th.
Yep. And we had one officer, and he was there at 12 p.m. And of course, that's Hawkins. And then on the 21st, we had 3 officers from 8 a.m. till 10 a.m.
Okay. You mean on the 21st?
Yep.
Okay.
Then on the 29th, we had
So we're
3
at the
officers.
end of the month. We're at the end of the month of November.
And we're still not done.
And we're still not done at our house.
3 officers, and they arrived at 8 a.m. And then
I wonder what day of what Veterans Day was on that year.
And then we're on January
Good
13th.
point. I wonder what day Veterans was, because that would be a day that the officers probably wouldn't work. So we should find that out.
Yeah.
And see.
Well,
I think it's always
overtime. I think that'd be the 14 day.
Yeah.
Oh, if you
Okay,
want to
so-
talk about time, just so everybody knows, Manitowoc, for assistance, simply the equipment and supplies to Calumet, had more man hours than Calumet, I believe. Man
Wow.
hours in the case. So, okay, where are we?
Okay,
Maybe
so
on
we're
the
on
13th of
January 13th of 2006.
Now hold
we
on,
had
let's back up. We do not have any officers in the home in the month of December and half of the month of January. But on the 13th of January,
one officer at 1 p.m., Mark Wiegert.
Okay.
And then, okay, here's my finishing. So over 2.5 months' time, these 26 officers entered Teresa's house for a total of 133 times during the 15 days of activity they were there. I have wrote out these. Here's the list of the 26 officers'
Want me to read
names. Sure, if you want to. Yes.
Are you
Go
okay?
ahead.
Wendy Baldwin, Jennifer Bass, Brett Bowie, John Dietering, Wally Dudzinski,
Yeah.
Richard Folick, Jeremy Hawkins, Dan Kucharski. I have a hard name.
I can't do it. Yeah, go ahead.
Leslie Lemieux, Ken Matuzik, Chuck Mays, or Maves, Kirk Moore. Who in the world is Kirk Moore? Mary Nicholas, Jerry Pogel, Rick Reamer, Keith Bristow, Jim Rogers, Paula Schneider. That's interesting because we also have in the cast of the Schneider Boys, which is Tammy Weber's, what is it? Her nephews are the Schneider Boys that say that they believe that the Manitowoc cops have set Steve up. We have Gary Schultz. We have Kelly Sipple, Gary Steyer, Tyson, C. Windling, Chris Windorf, and Mark Wiegert.
So, and then the next page, it just reminds you this is the 2, Wendy Baldwin and Jennifer Bass were disgruntled with their coworkers, which led to their disgrace. Remember when they burnt the effigy?
Yeah.
Of the police sheriff with his badge number, and then they had pinned a bunch of post-it notes with a bunch of other badge numbers that they were upset about, and Bass lost her job.
Statement said that the incident caused disgrace to our department, to the county, and to all law enforcement. Deputy Jennifer Bass, a jailer and 4-year member of the department, offered her resignation during a meeting on September 10th. Wendy Schmitz, which is also Baldwin, an investigator sergeant and near 12-year veteran, was demoted to a dispatch position. The demotion carried a lower salary and also impacts her pension status, Pagel said. You know what? Hats off to these girls.
And the next screen,
whatever, right?
Is just pictures, and Zoe helped me collect some pictures, and that's who we believe. Yes, Zoe helped me, and that's who we believe Leslie Lemur is, the one with the hearts. Zoe was very confident.
She kind of looks like a reptilian
that
person.
was her.
Okay.
Zoe
I'm
was
sorry.
very confident
Do you guys,
it was
does
her.
anybody else see Barney Rubble on this page? I mean, just come on. Every time I see this guy, and I'm not going to say his names, I see Barney Rubble every time. Look, Fred Flintstone's right below him. Lord.
And the page after that is just thanking you for your time.
Thank you,
and this walked through my mind. And that's all I have. Sorry, there are no
Beautiful
answers.
Work.
I wouldn't even know where to begin to take some of the things from the CASO, like the day of the panty raid, and try and insert them into
but
this.
it isn't all about one person having to do it. You have sparked a huge interest.
Yeah, if somebody else wants to take this, the PDF's free. Sammy's been passing out the link to it. Go ahead, download it, keep it, tear it apart, add to it, build on it, whatever you want. If you come up with something interesting, bring it back to us. We'll have you on a live, and
if you're uncomfortable on a live, but you have information you want to share, and we do have that happen,
we'll
try our best to show that for you, and walk you through. So,
and after this, I suppose we're going to Discord. So if you guys want to join us in the puddle chat,
to go over some questions.
Yeah. But after that,
Yep, we'll do some questions here, and then for those of you that do want to go into a live group voice chat, or you can listen to it, and you don't have to talk. You can
type on the wall. You can type on the wall.
Okay, let's go back up and kind of grab some of the comments and statements here.
Sure. Yep. Go right ahead.
Okay. We did that one. Okay, LL Grace says, I'm confused. Okay, we did read that about how few items and what they were doing there. Yeah, that doesn't make any sense. We don't have enough reports to match this kind of traffic. We also don't understand what were they collecting, what were they doing there. Kat says they seem to have lived at both places. You're right.
Yeah.
Daisy Lady says,
keeping Ryan company. He didn't like being alone.
Siebert, yep, that was his name. Thank you, Mary.
Sorry.
Ronald wrote Fox Hills was February 27th or 28th, 2006. Truth. Yep.
And they were in her house so much, Ryan had to be there to feed the cat. They could have fed the cat while they were there.
The cat was conveniently, I believe, in a kennel or in a vet or something. I don't know. There's something about.
I think she had dropped it off to get fixed or something, and they had to go get it or something. I don't know.
How convenient. Even the cat was taken care of. Daisy Lady, I believe that Hawkins had a conscience. He filled a variance report to add the fact that they were playing burn barrel hide and seek whack-a-mole that one day. Ooh. Hey, Daisy Lady, if you get a chance and you do find something like that, could you share the link with me on the section or email it to me? I would love to get that. I just haven't had it.
Or pass it to us on Discord, or
sure, any way you want. Okay, and then Tony asked, Dr. Silkman said, maybe it's a police convention? James Barlow, why so many? In a, I don't know that word, so I'm going to sound dumb. In a milieu, a very little solitary initiative.
In lieu of.
Okay, in lieu of. Very little solitary initiative due to voiceless fear stemming from inexplicable feelings of guilt. Strength is gained by tribal I can't say the word. Anonymity? Does that make sense?
Anonymity?
Anonymity.
Anonymity. It has un in front of it for some reason.
Thank you, James.
Oh, unanimity means everybody agrees.
Okay,
Oh.
everybody agrees. Right,
Well, I
right,
just
right.
had a thought too. Another thought just popped through my head. They might have been looking at all the dirty pictures in the trunk, and that's why they had such a draw to go there.
Yeah, Teresa did have naked pictures and negatives in the trunk that was stored by her bed, so maybe they were fascinated.
And maybe
Robert,
there was a
he's
whole
breaking
trunk
Tony's
full
heart.
of them.
Robert, how could you tell Tony that? The pizza's gone, Tony. It's gone. Cinnabar says, Daisy Lady, it looked like Hawkins' signature was very inconsistent on many reports. Wonder who was signing his name. Yeah. Yeah. Tony asked if it was the panty wagon.
Yeah, and one day that definitely was, because they had a panty raid there.
That was cute. That was a good one.
We're getting a lot of thank yous. Sorry, Guy. Daisy said, doesn't understand Discord, but I'll catch you guys on later. Daisy, if ever you do want to try Discord, when you click the button, it'll cause a download, and then you'll pop into a chat window like you are in now, and we'll walk you right over. You'll be with us immediately, just like you are here. It's very, very easy.
And you type on the wall, and somebody can walk you onto the phone.
Good night, Mary.
Maybe.
Thank you. God bless you as well. And thank you. It's 5 a.m.
Thanks
for her.
for staying up this late to listen to my
for all
boring
of
geek
you that
stuff.
are doing that. Thank you.
Phoebe, that was
you,
beautiful work.
Oh, you guys did fantastic.
It was really hard to do the math because of the way it.
Yeah.
It's not, everything's not there, you know. No chain of command there either.
Well, I'm going to go back and tell you guys something's wrong with the fact that on the 12th they find their last final piece, as they put it, and boom, they're out of there. Just
final piece, and I want to know if this was a report that was done then. How on earth would they even know that would be their final piece?
Final piece, yeah. That was what I was just gonna say. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Explain that. If you stop looking, yeah, of course that's the final piece. If you keep looking, are you gonna find more?
I want to go on record here and state that Fassbender has no eyebrows.
Oh, and I'd also like to thank whoever it is out there who made the spreadsheet, you know, because without
we
that,
always appreciate
I would
all
have
the
never
researchers.
found this.
And that happens in this case
and
a
I'm
lot.
sorry I don't know who you are. Somebody suggested a couple of names, but I don't want to, throw stuff out there. I don't know. Yeah. I don't know who built the spreadsheet, but it was brilliant.
Yes, Jane, we're all still live here, and then we're going to switch over. When we do Discord, what it is when you click the link, it downloads Discord, and as soon as it's done downloading,
it puts
you pop
in our
into
room.
a chat. Yep, just like a Facebook chat or anything, you'll see where people have typed, and you'll see a little place at the bottom of the screen, just like you see here, where you can type, and it'll let you type. And then once you get there, we're watching for you, and we have crews, a lot of researchers, and we watch the texting to see when you guys say, hey, I don't know where I am. Am I in here? Am I in Discord? Then what we do is we go over and we personally bring you a little bit further, and it's literally
if we have to take screenshots to get you there, we will.
Yeah, we do whatever it takes to get you there.
But if you know chat rooms a little bit or anything, you'll see also a phone icon.
And you can do it in your phone.
Get in the voice.
You don't understand what a room is. Okay, you're in a room right now, in a sense, is what we call rooms. So you're in the live chat room right now, Daisy, on YouTube. Okay, on Discord, once you click the link, it'll download, and then you'll be in a room like this, where you're in this little window typing, and you'll be able to type there, and we'll get you right on to voice if you want, and you can talk to us. And it's very easy. Most people actually do use their phones. And so even if you have an iPhone, we have a lot of people that have an iPhone that are using Discord, and we welcome you there. But I will tell you, in the near future, now it won't be next week, but in the near future, we're going to try to do a Facebook live like Jax does. The complication is little Ducky here and BB. And we live really close to Manitowoc, like we're neighbors. So we don't really want to put our face out there. So if I can find a way to where I can just show an emblem
I think you
or
could
something.
put your icon. I think you could set your icon in there too.
If we can, then that's what we'll do. So that we can help you guys. So I want to thank you all so much. If anybody has any questions, feel free. It's an open forum now. Anything that you want to say, comment before we call it off? The below text is for BB's work. Aw, and Jeff too. You guys do such a good job. Thank you, Jeff, and thank you, BB, for both of you doing such a wonderful job tonight, and bringing such amazing information. I hope that both topics spur some stuff out there on Reddit, as well as, and I'm sure Reddit's already done some of this research, but to renew the
somebody knows this because they put together the spreadsheet.
Correct.
So somebody somewhere knows this existed.
Well, Daisy lady, you're our neighbor.
There's a Redditor called Fog Haze, who I'd love to get in touch with.
Fog Haze is amazing. Amazing. Case files, a lot of names up there. Of course, Mystic Jinx, TikTok Manitowoc, just a lot of really amazing people.
And Mystic Jinx comes into the puddle.
Yep, Mystic Jinx comes in. We do have a lot of different
to
people
our Discord room.
And yeah, like Lily said, thank you all. Much
Support
love to
Truth
everyone.
and Facts.
Yeah, I think that's like the maximum that.
Aw, Jane. Well, you know what? I don't know if it'll help, but there is a bell that you can hit on YouTube somewhere that should send you
under the movie, I think.
Yeah, it should send you a little ding and a notice when we do lives and stuff. Oh, you're so welcome.
The bell is
Tyson.
right next to your subscription where it says subscribe.
Okay.
Yeah, and when you hit that bell, then you'll get a notification whenever
I want
a
to
video.
say a special lily pad for working with the crowd, and she does amazing work. Lily is going to be starting a project. I'm very excited to tell you guys that what we're going to be doing is, I believe it's going to be Tuesdays. We have not decided the time yet, but we'll let you know. We're going to be event live for each week. So whatever has been happening that week, whatever the hot topics are, pay attention to them, and that way you can contribute to the conversations or even introduce conversations on the topics. Lily does a really good job of surfing the MaM networks, and she comes back with so much information every week. And I offered her, I said, hey, we should be doing something, and she did too. We both thought of it at the same time. Let's get this out there to where we're keeping a current event on a weekly basis where we release some of the news, MaM news. So we'll be doing that. And then I want to thank you for always being so supportive to the group. And you've always we're sitting on your shoulders a lot. You're kind of quiet, but you're in every place and you're doing all kinds of stuff and you're moderating and all that. Appreciate it so much.
Well, I adore everybody here. I'm very, I just love being everywhere, knowing a little bit of this, a little bit of that, and supporting you because doing a good thing here.
Yeah,
really
we are.
Good thing. So.
Yeah, we all are doing. Every one of us.
Yeah.
The listeners, the researchers, it feels good. When I put my head down on the pillow at night, I try to remember that we have assured another day of safety for the guys, and that's the main thing. We're working on getting them out, and we've blown away this case, and that's quite an amazing thing.
And don't you mean the wee hours of the morning?
Already. I'm going over there.
All
okay,
right.
Sammy's heading over to Discord. Thank
you,
Sammy.
You mean
Sammy,
the wee
before you
hours
go,
of the
thank
night?
you.
Oh, you're welcome. It's my pleasure, as always.
Aw.
And Ducky actually puts her head on the pillow in the wee hours of the morning most of the time because she burns the candle at both ends.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm obsessed with the case.
Many times.
You guys, I promise you this. When Brendan can eat pizza and play video games at home, and Steven gets home, I'll sleep a good solid night. I promise. I promise you. I'll go to bed and I'll sleep like a baby. Till
All right,
then,
and
I don't promise nothing.
I'm going to go ahead and leave the call and head over as well. Thank you, everybody, for listening.
Okay, I'm going to let you guys go. I'm going to hang out with the crowd just a minute. Jeff, again, thank you so much for the work that you brought on the Audiovox phone. And you've definitely, got my mind thinking that I hope Zellner is able to possibly look into that as well.
I'd love it if that happened.
I would too. Absolutely. Daisy Lady has a question. She says,
I'll see you on Discord.
Hey, sounds good. Daisy Lady says, does anyone know the name of the convicted murderer released in 1998 who left TH a voicemail on 1101? Is that real? Well, I don't. I did read about this, but you know as much as I know. I haven't been able to do a scoop, as they call it, or anything like that. I've tried to work through Ryan Heligas's phone log, and I actually had to put it down because Ryan has some calls on there to some places that I'm uncomfortable talking about right now. I don't wish to bring too much heat on myself, but he does call the state of Wisconsin during the time frame that there should be no calls to the state that I'm aware of. So it's before she's even reported missing. We have a lot of strange phone calls, as well as he calls some plasma banks and so forth. So I'm not, once I get more comfortable on understanding, right now, I'll tell you, Ryan is a big problem for me in this case because of the fact that he's got some connections through his father to Peg L. So those are some, Mark Hillegas is his father. So if you have some time and you want to dig into that, yeah, Jane, I hear you. Tony says they should ask Manitowoc County to go find Jimmy Hoffa or JFK's assassins. Man, are they good, right? Right? Daisy Lady said, Brendan is going to freak at today's video games compared to 2005. Oh, I know. He's going to love it. He is going to love it. Let's see here. Kat Harmon says, Ryan, Bobby, and Scott are my suspects. Ryan is everywhere. Ryan is everywhere where the evidence is. Him and Colburn and Link are evidence related for some reason. And where the evidence is, wherever the evidence leads is where my mind goes. So, yeah, Ryan's a big problem for me. Okay, you guys. Yeah, Daisy said I did check out his dad on CCCAP and lots of lawsuits both ways. So what she means by CCAP is in Wisconsin, we do have a public site where you can look up the criminal and civil lawsuits of any person in Wisconsin. There are some that are sealed, which is Carmen Botwell's CCAP, which is supposed to be public access, is sealed. So. All right, guys, I want to say I love you guys so much, and I truly do. I love the support that you bring, and every day you guys work very hard at this, just like we do. You might not be able to get on a live and talk as much as we do, but you guys get out there and you're on Twitter, you're on Instagram, you're on Facebook, you're on YouTube, wherever you are. I appreciate all the help you give to Brendan and Steven and the support that you give them, and knowing that they are wrongfully convicted. And also a special shout out to those that have shared with us in this case to give us either a tip, or you've made a donation, or you've involved yourself in the case and the support of the channel. I was just on Carmen's 2 days ago. Oh, yeah, there is one that's open, but Daisy Lady, there are some of hers that were open years ago that are now sealed. And you'll get a, on Carmen Botwell's, on some of the older ones, when you put in the link, you get sealed without authorization. So I don't know why that is. Lots of love to you guys. I'm just kind of reading the questions. Get well, woman. Oh, I know, Jeannie. I am so sorry, you guys. I've been told that I need to be getting good sleep to get better. So I'm going to get off here. I'm going to go jump into the pedal room for an hour, and then I'll get off here, and I'm going to go to bed tonight, believe it or not. And I'm going to sleep a full night so that hopefully I do get better. It's a chest cold I've had for like 2 weeks now. But hey, it's not going to slow us up, is it? All right. Let me type a little something for you guys, and then we're going to disconnect. You guys are so wonderful for staying with us. Bye, everybody. Love you guys.